Hi, everybody. So, nobody's here yet, but I'll just begin talking about what my intention is for this live stream. I've made a series of videos with the title Walking the Path, and those videos are really about the spiritual journey, the journey to the journey on the path of enlightenment. And I'm going to keep making videos. In my Walking the Path video series. And I decided I actually sat down here to make some videos for that series today. But as soon as I sat in front of my computer, I guess it was my higher self said, go live. So I was not intending on it, but here I am. And this live stream is really open for your questions. Any spiritual question that you have, I tap into my own higher self, God, and your soul to provide the answers and insights for you. So feel free to type in the chat any questions that you may have that you would like me to answer on any kind of spiritual topic. And we'll just see how it goes. And of course, if nobody has questions, I'll be moving on to some more videos to record. And also, hi, thanks for saying hello. I will also do these more of these videos in the future if there's interest. And I'm being guided to do these kinds of things, so I'm sure that there will be some level of interest. Even if it's just a little bit, that's okay. So right now we have 5 people joining in, and it's only been 2 minutes. So feel free to ask your questions here. The title is Walking the Path, which is my way of talking about walking the path of enlightenment in this life, in this incarnation. And enlightenment is really a continuous journey. While we're on earth, we never know everything. And I actually read a quote yesterday from the Law of One that said that the way that we evolve out of this density is that when we consciously acknowledge that we don't understand. So it's in the humility and the acceptance of knowing that we cannot understand that we graduate, which is really an interesting concept because we who are seekers want to know. We want to know, right? So we try to figure everything out. But what can make life more pleasurable and easier is to just begin to allow for the not knowing, the not understanding, and letting life unfold however it may. And in your way of being in the flow, then you are bringing yourself to more enlightenment because there's less seeking, less desire to figure it out, but more acceptance, more humility, and more awareness, right? So if you're seeking and striving and trying to figure things out, you're projecting your consciousness out of the now. But if you allow yourself to be so aware of just everything and in the flow, in the moment, then you are broadening your perception and ability to be in more of an enlightened state. So please type in any questions that might be on your mind that you want to know about. Not that I'm saying that I have the answers, but together we can seek and I'm able to tap into somehow a higher wisdom that comes flowing through me, whether I'm asking to connect with your soul or mine or God, and I receive answers in a variety of ways. The ways that answers come through to me would be very very vivid imagery, which is always symbolic, but I get the meaning of it. Usually, words, so visions, words, knowings, feelings. I'm an intuitive empath, and I can see and hear and feel and so on. So, my in my astrology chart, the the overall, my entire astrology chart basically says that I'm a worldwide messenger and a teacher. And my chart is ruled by Mercury, which is communication. And so I am here to communicate and to a worldwide audience. That's in my astrology. It was never my intention coming from my mind. It sort of just happened when I started talking on YouTube. But later, I had my first astrology reading in 2014, which is when I was told this kind of information. Hi, it's nice to see all of you here. Thank you for saying hello in the chat. Um, and so right now, I looked up my astrology. I look up my astrology sometimes, and right now I have Mercury trine Jupiter from November 1st to November 17th. And what that means is that it's a really big time for me personally in these days for communication, for expanding my communication. I started writing a book on November 1st because of this astrological alignment. Hi. Oh, hi, Moya. You're so sweet. Thank you. I'm so glad you could catch me. I originally went on in front of my computer to record some videos, but my higher self said, go live. And it was literally not even on my mind. And I thought, well, perhaps a few people in Europe are still awake. So the timing is good. I know it's late. It's around 10, 15 for probably most of you in Europe. But yeah, but so I'm glad you're still awake and you could catch me. And I know it's sometimes hard to stay up late. I know I'm out these days around 9 or 10. It's crazy. But back to the story about my astrology, Mercury trine Jupiter from November 1st to November 17th, I had it on my calendar to write a book. And I'm totally dedicated this time to finishing this book. I'm just at the beginning, but the book is the stories of my life. And so I'm taking advantage of this good astrological alignment that I'm under to do more communication, more videos, more writing. It's really my soul's purpose. And we're in a time right now where you better be aligning with your soul's purpose. And that's not even words coming from me, but I watched this man named David Palmer, who goes by the Leo King on YouTube, the Leo King on YouTube. And he does this deep astrology every Tuesday night for the week from Tuesday to the next Monday. So 1 week of astrology at a time. And I was just watching his today, and basically, even though today's Thursday, but he had just posted it on Tuesday, I was just watching it today, and he's the one who's explaining the time that we are in. And now is the time to be serious about your mission, your purpose. Don't be hiding. Don't run away from it. Take it full on, really, because you're making a decision that's going to last your lifetime. So you want to take it on as a serious thing that you're actually going to live this life the way you know that you're meant to. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I am living my purpose, and that is to be a teacher, a spiritual teacher, and write about my stories of my life. I've had an incredible life, and I really didn't come on here to talk about myself today. So I'm waiting for you. Do you have any questions? Type your questions in if you have any kind of spiritual question. This is a question and answer session about spiritual topics, things you're curious about, things you're confused about, things you would like to understand more deeply, or just ponder with me or together with other people, where I can bring some sort of enlightenment to the topic. Yes, you can ask about twin flames because um, nobody else is asking about anything. So, yes, feel free to ask. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the energy healing that I do so that everybody who is watching can receive a gift of the energy healing that comes through me, which is very powerful. So, yes, go ahead and ask your question, even if it's about twin flames. It's not a problem because a lot of people who watch my channel are twin flames. And while you're typing up your question, I'm going to share a story about a dream that I had with my twin flame a few days ago. It's so interesting because we live, when we're focused on our life, this is one reality. But for every decision that we don't make, there's another parallel reality of a parallel you in a parallel universe or parallel reality living out the other options from that decision. So it might be multiple lives based on the one decision. So we have parallel us's, we's, us's selves living out this life, but with slight variations of the themes. So a few nights ago, I had a dream, and it was so fascinating because I met my twin flame in 2014, but the dream was taking place in a earlier years when my son was still a baby. And in the dream, it was the middle of the day, and my twin flame called me on the phone. We had not met yet in this reality, but that reality in the dream was so real that I know I was actually dreaming about another parallel reality that's real. And he called me and I said, "Oh, my son is sleeping. He's taking his nap." We talked on the phone. It was very wonderful and loving energy and connection. And then we hung up, and I was thinking to myself, I'm so lucky because even though I feel so grateful, because even though we're not together, he calls me every day. We're connected. He wants to be connected. And I called my friend and I said, even though we're not together, he really shows the dedication of wanting to stay connected to me because he calls me every day. So in my dream, I was still married. It was my real life because I was married. I did have a son. I did get divorced. But this dream took place when I was still married and had my son, who was a baby. My son is now 14. And the dream was so realistic that I know that I was dreaming about having my connection with my twin earlier in my life before we met in my reality. So I hope that's clear. And I wanted to share that with you because it's so interesting. We are all having parallel lives where we're connected to the same people, but our lives are playing out slightly differently. Because I know he got divorced at the exact same time that I did. And yet, in that dream, in that reality, um, I hadn't left my husband yet, and he had already gotten divorced, which that is anyway. It's interesting to know that we're living out these other scenarios with other options with the same people in the same life stream, but multiple realities of it. So let me read the questions here. To see what I'm going to talk about. Yeah. So this question is about the the twin meeting the twin flame and being the pain of it. Why does the pain get worse? I'm just asking. And this connection. Yeah. You know, this is definitely a mystery for everybody on the planet. Nobody can really claim to understand why we're having such a massive influx of twin flames meeting each other in this incarnation. And these situations causing such pain and such an upheaval in our lives, and such strong supernatural experiences like telepathy, like what I just explained about having a dream of another parallel reality that was so real that I know it played out. I absolutely know that that scenario with my twin played out in this lifetime. And so did the obviously the one that I lived through. These different options. What I part of the I can have some conjecture about why this is happening. So we are at a major time cycle change on the planet of a 26,000 year change from one era into another era on the planet of galactic movement through the cosmos. With this closing of one chapter of the cosmic history of Earth into opening up this new one into the age of Aquarius, we're going to be having resolution to the stories that we've been living out for the past thousands of years with our twin flame. Some of the incarnations have been with the twin flame, but we are always connected at the soul level, spirit level. So in this lifetime, there's a culmination of happenings so that you can have resolution to your soul story over thousands of years. And it becomes more poignant with the twin flame because this is one soul who is resolving these karmic issues from the past thousands of years of incarnating on Earth. That's why it's going to be so intense. That's why there might be so much pain. There's the pain of remembrance of the oneness, so that when you meet and separate on Earth, it's bringing back up that pain of separation from the oneness that you are. And then you experience the oneness through the telepathy, through the dreams, and through the feeling of that person constantly being with you, being a part of you, being inside of you, talking to you, and all of these things. So that's why it's painful. It's important to look at the pain that's coming up to heal everything that's coming up so that it can be resolved and healed. Just let the pain be there, but dig into it and ask, what is it truly about? If it's about fear of abandonment, fear of loss, or the feeling of actual abandonment and loss and rejection, realize that this is just a grieving of the actual perceived abandonment, loss, and rejection from God, from the oneness, from your parents, maybe from your twin, but it's not real. It's not real. And you'll come back into the knowing that you can never be rejected, never abandoned, because God is always with you and supporting you, and same with your own soul. And so you are resolving this pain so that when we move into the new era of humanity, transition into that, it's shedding the old beliefs and pains and traumas and entering into a new world, lighter and understanding unconditional love, oneness, and the eternal nature of our souls and this twin connection. So the pain, you can get stuck in the pain, but try to remember the truth that you are one, always connected, and don't let the pain get the most of you. Try to overcome it where you're healing whatever it is that's coming up, and then doing your best to live your life in the ways that you feel you should be. And you can accept that it's sad that you're not together, but that you will be together one day, and you are together. When I say one day, I mean souls, as souls, in the afterlife or another life at some point, and you are together as souls already still, and you still are. And that's why you can have the conversations with them ongoing. So let's see, parallel realities. Well, parallel realities are just you living out many options, many decisions for this lifetime, many possibilities. Let's see what else. How do you know who your twin flame is? You really don't have a question once you meet them. You just know. Well, I agree with you, Roxana, because she's saying that she wishes people would move away from the idea of the twin flame being a romantic thing. Yes, and then somebody else is saying it's not romance, it's evolution and expansion of the soul. So it's true. Um, all okay, so many people experience the twin flame connection as a romantic connection, and other people don't because they all of these possibilities exist. Whatever your soul wants to learn in this particular incarnation is what's going to be presented to you. And yes, I totally agree with you. Um, I agree with you, Roxana. Oh, that's fine. So, but she's just stating it, and it's true. Um, and it's true. So if there are, while there aren't other questions, I'll just continue explaining this topic. That there are sibling twins, I mean, twin flames who are siblings, parent child, same sex, heterosexual. I mean, on and on and on and on, really, because your soul wants to learn in a variety of ways. So, yes, there can be non romantic connections. Now, the ones who have a romantic connection, those can be the hardest because the heart feels something and wants something, and yet perhaps it's not meant to play out fully that way forever in this lifetime. And it's really more about learning and soul expansion and growth, which can be very hard. It can be painful to grow in those ways where you're challenging yourself the most. Anybody else have any questions? And or do you want me to elaborate on anything I said? Yeah, this is such a good question. What is a soul? Interestingly enough, in 2004, I was in a hypnotherapy training class, and my instructor said, imagine a sugar bowl. I actually have a bowl here. This is salt. We could talk about salt instead of sugar. And inside you have your salt. And if you took a scoop out of, let's say this is your soul, you took a scoop of that out and you put it in a body. That would be one incarnation from your soul. And you can take another scoop of this out and put it in another body, and that's another incarnation of your soul. And you can keep doing that. And the soul is a ball of energy. We could just pretend it's a ball of energy, just like the sun. And the portions of that energy can go into all of your bodies, all of the different personalities that you are in all of your lifetimes, and your twin flames, because they're coming from the same soul. So it is an entity, a being of light, and they are created somehow by God. I don't know that part. And they can have incarnations in all dimensions, all realms of existence, other planets. And when those lives are over, all that information, all that experience is brought back to the whole. But inside that whole, there are so many different lifetimes and experiences. And above the soul, we have the oversoul, which is going to be something much bigger than this, but the same idea. And it's going to have multiple souls in it. And your twin flame is another one of those souls coming from the oversoul. Could be. There are probably different levels of twin flames. Twin flames coming from the same soul, and twin coming from the same oversoul. But we might have different language for that. I don't care about the language, because we're talking about concepts and people attach too much to labels. So let's see what else is going on here. hmm hmm Yeah, I understand your perspective, Roxana. And then let's see. Oh, Melissa's asking if I've only experienced my twin telepathically and I know who he is, should I contact him? Oh, that's going to be a tough one. You have to be guided by your own higher self with that. If the guidance that you're receiving is strong, that you should contact him, then I would. But if it's not telling you to, then I wouldn't, because you don't know how the person will respond, and you're going to have to really feel into it for yourself about that. That's a really tough one, I know. Yeah, it's a hard one. Interesting. Okay. What is the relationship between the soul and the ego? Excellent question. So the soul is the pure light being, um, of love, and higher wisdom, that portion of energy comes into the body. Now, the ego is the personality that we have when we're in a human body, and we need the ego to survive here. It's the identity of being a separate being. That's the ego. The ego is, I am me, and I have a personality, and I'm separate, seemingly separate from each other individual. And everybody has their ego, and their ego is to drive them for survival and food and personality and action and being here. And so the soul is the eternal essence of your being that doesn't need a body, that lives in the no time, no space, with no ego, because it's not this. When we're looking at just the soul not in a body, there's no ego, because there's no need to survive life because it is life. Um, Being on Earth, our human body life can be over, but how we live this life through this body, through this personality is the ego. So we don't ever want to, some people in the spiritual communities say, you got to get rid of your ego. Well, it's more about integrating the ego. It's about not living out of the ego, not living out of the negative ego either, like being overly egoic, or in the negative ego. The negative ego is like the negative states of being um, self-deprecating and like denying the self. So you want to find the balance of the integrated ego of how much in alignment your ego can be with your soul. Okay? So we have to keep our ego. Our ego is part of the personality for this lifetime. So it's not a bad thing. Yeah. Yeah. So about the twin flame, MS is asking about, you didn't do anything wrong by contacting the twin. The twin goes away because this connection is intense. They have their own things to deal with regards to it, and so do you. So you have to understand that every time there's a connection, communication, there are going to be things brought up to deal with on both sides. And when there's a lot, even if words weren't expressed, there's still a lot of emotion and energy within this connection. And sometimes people need to have time and space to process. And they don't have the proper communication skills, or they're not meant to, meaning our higher self sometimes directs us away from our twin. Um, because you have to learn something and your twin has to learn something, or grow through something, release something, heal something. Don't take it personally, please. Um, and don't think that you did something wrong, but it's going to be like that with your twin, back and forth, up and down, off and on. It just is. And so if you can understand that it's not a linear path, that there's a push and pull dynamic, and it's rough. It's not easy to understand, but if you can just I'm sorry, I got distracted trying to read. If you can just go with it and don't blame yourself, and find peace, and send from your heart, send love and peace, and just be patient. Be patient through the journey. The topic isn't really twin flames, Robert. It's whatever people are asking, but the title, I named it Walking the Path with Stephanie, because I have a video series called Walking the Path, which is about the path of enlightenment, the path of a spiritual seeker, and I wanted to ask questions or answer questions about that, about any spiritual questions. But since there weren't a lot of people on, and a lot of my viewers are twin flames, people were asking if they could talk about that, ask about the topic, and I said, sure. And there's no problem because those topics are totally connected anyway. But you can ask things that are not twin flame related too. Um, yeah, that's, oh my God. So Roxana, yeah, it's true. Some people show up in our lives that have some similarities with our twin. It happens in an uncanny way, over and over again. New people showing up that are mimicking our twin in some way, in some, on many levels, in many ways, in many synchronicities, commonalities. And it is because we are meant to continue learning. Even if that person, the twin, has stepped out, you're still receiving, new people, because you're still connected to that energy and you're still on that path of learning. And the same thing is happening to them. The same thing is happening on their side. It, I know that, and I can't really go into detail about um, my situation, but I was privy to some information from the higher self of one of the women that was dating my twin. She came to me and she told me stuff out of the blue. That nothing like that had ever happened to me, and it has never happened again. But I got some pretty deep information about it happening on his end, and this is happening to other people. I mean, I know it is. And so it's because if it's happening to you and so many of you, it's also happening for them, which is interesting to think about, right? Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's because what you're saying, Roxanne, is it because they can do the job? Yes. And that's what I was just saying. Mm. So Melissa's asking, how do you deal with choir audience? So Melissa, can you explain what do you mean by better deal with it? Because if it's a problem, or I don't really understand the depth of the question. Okay. So you can ask me more specifically. Um, and then Roxana is asking, what do you do when all you can do is walking with no direction? General path. Okay. So no direction. Yeah. So then you're not meant to be doing anything specific, because because a lot of everybody's purpose is to just be here. There's so much more going on than in terms of the energy that you are bringing to the planet. So your mission and purpose is just being here, and that's already happening because you're here. Because the energy that you anchor into this planet and spread just by your, literally just your energy, is your purpose. So if you feel that you don't have a direction or purpose, it's because you're just meant to enjoy life as much as possible, be love, spread love, and enjoy yourself. I know life is not always enjoyable, but if you can find gratitude in every waking moment as much as possible, your life will expand, get better, and you don't need to know your purpose or mission or direction until it strongly comes to you. But until then, it's okay to just find interests that you like and do whatever in the moment that you're guided to do, and it's okay. Yeah. That's so interesting, Tina. So, about picking up on people's feelings, sensing things, picking up on a lot of things, saying things before people say them. This is how I live, because that means you're an empath, and then you have dreams that really happen. Yes. And if you're psychic, intuitive, and empath, this is what's going to happen. More and more we can feel that there's not much of a separation, that we really are all one. My dreams and my experiences, even especially lately, have stepped up a notch to that oneness. um like the themes of my dreams have to do with my clients that I'm working with the next day, or things I'm thinking and feeling, then my clients begin saying the same things. And really, it's really about being an empath. So that's why it's happening to you. It's just going to happen because the veils of separation are thinning. We're experiencing our oneness more and more. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong. You don't have to protect yourself. I mean, from that per se. And some of us can't. And it's not a problem. I mean, okay, it can feel like a problem if you're a highly sensitive person and an empath and you don't want to feel that much, you're going to have to stay away from large groups of people if you don't want that. Or clear, you can take a bath with salt. That will clear you. You can ground. It's here where I live, it's getting cold, so you're not going to want to put your feet on the earth. But if you can, putting your feet on the earth barefoot for a minute, it's going to ground you and stuff like that. But um I don't go to a lot of places where there are a lot of people because I'm like that, and I have a gift. I'll call it a gift of clearing people, so their stuff comes to me and I clear it. And so it's not wrong, and it is my job in this life. And I can explain that. Why don't I explain that? Because this might help a lot of people. As a healer and as a sensitive person and an empath, I used to think that I was wrong for taking on people's stuff. And I was like, how do I learn how to protect myself? How do I shield myself? How do I not do this? And other people were telling me it was wrong. Like, you have to stop taking on the stuff and you have to protect yourself. Well, one day I found out about this book called Spiritual Astrology by Jan Spiller and somebody else. It's two authors. Spiritual Astrology. You can find it on Amazon by Jan Spiller and somebody else. Well, when you look in the back of that book and you look up your prenatal solar eclipse and prenatal lunar eclipse, so you want to look up in the back of the book the solar eclipse that happened right before your birthday. When I looked mine up, it gives you what your soul is here to do. You have, and mine is literally what I said. My soul is here to be the receptacle for people's unhealed emotions and stuff. And it is my job in this life to take it on, process it, and heal them by taking it for them. In that way, they heal. And it's not an easy job, and I'm not complaining. But once I understood it is literally my role, then I was like, okay, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not doing it wrong. I don't have to protect myself, shield myself. I'm not too open. It's literally my body in this life. I am a healer, and I process things through myself, through my body, literally, for people. That's why I'm a healer. That's why I do what I do. And it's fine. And it can be cleared. Things can be cleared quickly, and I don't have to take them on as my own, but I do have to clear them for others. That's wonderful, Melissa, that you have these, I mean, that you have these gifts, that you are having these dreams and conversations. It's not a bad thing. And um, yes, we're the cleanup team. We are. And that's an honor. Those of us who have taken on this role, um, what greater service can there be? I'm fully in service. I have no choice because of that role that I have in this lifetime. I have no choice but to be in service at all times, and I'm fine with it. It's very pleasant at this point. Sometimes it's uncomfortable with when I take things on for other people that are difficult, but I guess I'm used to it right now. That's interesting. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but the person from Greece, that what I'm saying you can find in Greek Pythagorean books about the soul and multidimensionality and sacred geometry. So that's interesting. And I feel that I've learned a lot in this lifetime about these things through my own personal experiences and books. I mean, reading books to understand, but I haven't read anything about Pythagoras or anything like that. So that's interesting. And if I didn't answer your questions and you feel like you've already asked them, you can write them again as so I can clarify. Oh, John, thank you for telling me who you are, and now I know how to pronounce your name when I see it. So nice to meet you. Yeah, what other questions do people have? Thanks for being here with me, you guys, and participating. And if you have topics, spiritual topics, and twin flame topics that you would like for me okay, I will read some of that. I'll look into that. Um, that you would like for me to address in videos, please go ahead and type them or leave them in the comments on this video so that I can do them. But I only do videos that where I have personal insight, personal experience, and knowing. I can't just talk about, anything, and I'm not fake like that. I'm authentic. So I just go through, we'll talk about what I can that I know about non physical. Oh, yeah. So you're asking about that pulling, that energetic pulling between twins. It's like when you have that, like, longing or desire, like for them to contact you. Please write to me. Please call me. That kind of energy. You really want to kind of try to let go of that because that they can feel that in it. If they're not contacting you, it's pushing them away more. So it's about not pulling on their energy in that way and trying to like maintain your own energy and peace and patience and letting them live their life and in their own timing come to you. So you don't want to be using like your obsessive nature to be pulling them, to communicate with you. I hope that I answered that question. You're welcome. Thank you, Tina. You're so kind. Thank you. Um, oh, so Jeanette's asking about that. How to know, how much time it takes. This is a really tough one because you feel like you're supposed to be together or you're going to come together and that pull is there and that knowing is there and it could be years with that living with that scenario and every case is different but there's no way to know and if the other person is not ready you could be feeling this for years and they may never become ready for you in this life, which is something you'll just have to live that experience out and see how it goes and be patient and heal everything that comes up along the way for you. And it's really hard, and it's hard to even hear these things that I'm saying right now because you don't want to hear these things. When you want them to be ready and you want them to be ready now, and it can be really hard to go through this experience and them not being ready for you. Yeah. Vladimir is talking about this being the last life. I think that this is the last lifetime for a lot of people on Earth. Not, I shouldn't say a lot, but people who might be listening to me, um, or this type of information, some percentage of those people can feel that this is their last life, and it probably is. But yes, it's never ending because there will definitely be lives elsewhere, ongoing forever. So it won't end, but we could be done on Earth, some of us, because we've graduated from all that we came here to do and learn. And in this particular lifetime, so many of us are here in service to help with the transition of humanity to into the next era. A lot of us here came as volunteers to help that with that, and we can see it's happening, and we know that a lot of our work is done actually, and we know that the we get to enjoy a lot of the rest of this life while they figure it out. It's like we've pushed them to a certain place where now they're on their own and we've done our job. Does this Is this making sense? I can only speak from personal feeling about this, but yeah, we'll keep having other experiences in other realms, possibly with similar jobs, but maybe we'll get a break in between. Um, yes, yes, Roxana, good point. Uh, Sorry about that, Graciela. It can be very, very difficult. It The communication and this push pull energy and this no communication, the twin thing. It's the hardest. Both of you are figuring things out, and it's not easy. Okay, Arasana. Yes, Arasana, Arasana. No, you do not have to be with your twin. It has nothing to do with that. Your enlightenment is on your own always. It has nothing to do with another person or your twin. I'm glad you asked that question. It's very important for everyone to know that your twin has nothing to do. I mean, meeting your twin might push you into more enlightenment because this path causes you to seek and learn and grow and develop. And they might leave you, you know, because your path of enlightenment is solo always. I have a video called Twin Flames, something about enlightenment. Anyway, you can look up all of my videos. I have a video, Soul versus Ego. Somebody asked about that earlier, Twin Flames, Soul versus Ego. And then I have a video on Twin Flames, from something to enlightenment, from something agony or I don't know what to enlightenment. That's a good one. Good. I'm glad it makes sense. Vladimir, let's see. Nice. Yes. Really interesting stuff. Isn't this an interesting life? Doesn't this feel like such a different lifetime from all the other ones because of how um these experiences we're having, they're not mundane, they're not like what when if we look back in history and we think about other lives we might have had, in all the different eras of humanity, nothing compares to this, where here we are having the conversations that we're having right now and experiencing these things. They feel more supernatural, more spiritual, more connected to our souls and the evolution of humanity. than maybe what we were aware of in other lives. M- there could have been some turning points like in Atlantis or Egypt where we might have had these awarenesses also, but then in between there have been just some more mundane, not that they were mundane in terms of easy, they're very challenging on many levels physically and emotionally, but in this incarnation at this time it's such a spiritual, um there's such a depth of spirituality in this one. Thank you so much. Thank you, Julie. That's a great question. Who else aligns with me on? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't watch other twin flame people. Um, so I can't recommend anybody. But if you ask that question, say in a comment here, like you just did, or below any of my videos where other people can respond, maybe other people know who aligns with me in the twin flame community. I don't watch anybody else. And when I first started my twin flame journey, it actually started in 2012, but I wasn't watching videos because I didn't even know this topic was on YouTube. I was not it wasn't until later I met my first twin in 2012, in December 2012, right before the change of the universal change of 12/21/12. That was I met him like a few days before that. But I met my second twin in 2014. And it wasn't until then that I started like becoming aware of this twin flame topic and that there were videos and stuff on YouTube. And in that beginning of that, I think I was watching a couple of people, but I don't really recommend them now. So other than that, I don't know anybody else. So that's a great question. And I wish I could tell you, but watch all of my videos first. And then try to find ones that are popping up as suggestions for you. Yeah, people told me that my videos are good on twin flames. I just talk from, you know, my experience. Any other questions? Oh yeah, Remy and Jill. I did watch their videos. Thanks, Melissa. That's a great recommendation. I like them. Um, oh yes, Roxana. Souls are older than the time of Atlantis, for sure. Yeah, so many of us come back from these big times in history. If we were there in Atlantis, we might be back again. But yeah, we're way older than that. We can't really calculate or contemplate that because it's the beginning of, you know, creation, right? I mean, eternity? I don't know how. That's a really deep question too, to think about how long we've been in existence as a soul. Yeah. What other questions do you have? The time flies. It's been an hour, but it feels like 15 minutes. So some of you just want to just listen to me talk, right? Nobody has questions. But think of questions, and you can always post them below this video if there are topics that you want me to do on um, the Walking the Path, series and Twin Flames. I made a list today of so many topics, and I almost wish I could just start talking about them here, but I think I should make them each individual videos with titles so that people can watch them in particular. We're all one, Roxana. We're all one. And I don't believe that um, we have two that a soul has two bodies during an incarnation. My soul has keep talking. Um, so my soul is in seven bodies right now in this incarnation, and I have met all the others. I'm one plus six others, and we've all met, or I met all of them. And two of them I call my twin flames because it's like that same story experience we've all had with the twin flame. And the other four are not, don't have that intensity, but we are literally one soul. And I know that might sound weird or shocking to some people, and some people might reject that, you know, that doesn't happen. That's not real. That's not true. There are a lot of people out there who say that twin flames are one soul in two bodies. Nothing could be further from the truth. And I don't even need to get into that because it's just, there's no truth to that. Um, that's interesting that you remember them. And yeah, a lot of us probably have PTSD from some of our other lifetimes. I truly believe that we, especially in this lifetime, I mean, because I can talk about this lifetime because I'm here and I know about it, but that we here now, a lot of us are working out issues from other lives. For example, this lifetime for me, for many, many, many years, I was working out the trauma of the Holocaust because I was in the Holocaust in another life. And I was born into a family in this lifetime that is connected. So why don't I was going to make a video about this. Maybe I shouldn't share the whole story. It's such an interesting story, but I'll just briefly say that my grandfather in this lifetime, my mother's father was Polish and he was Jewish and he was born, well, he was born in Poland, and he knew something was up and with what was going on. So he knew this was before the Holocaust. And he knew he had to get out and he went to Italy. He went to medical school in Bologna, Italy, and that was his way out of danger. And the rest, his entire family was killed in the Holocaust. He was Jewish. The only reason I'm here and alive is because my grandfather was perceiving enough to know something was up and it was coming and it was bad and he needed to escape, and he escaped. Um, and then one other cousin did also, and he moved to England. Those are the only two surviving people from the family that I'm aware of, that we know of. And so my grandfather, after medical school in Italy, he moved to New York and met my Italian grandmother. They raised their children Roman Catholic. Nobody knew he was Jewish because he hid that fact. Because if your entire family is murdered in the Holocaust, there's no way you're going to tell anybody for the rest of your life that you're Jewish. So he hid that secret. And we found out at the very end of his life. And that's that story. Well, when so I have had dreams and past life regressions of my life in the Holocaust, being gassed and dying and being separated from my family. Interestingly enough, Vladimir, are you Italian? Io parlo italiano, sto studiando italiano e ho viaggiato in Italia per 3 mesi. Thank you for saying you're from Italy. I just wanted to show off my Italian for a second there. I speak Italian and I'm studying it, and I love Italy. But back to the story, I had a dream when I was married in this life, and I have I was married and I have a son. And when I was married, I had a dream. And in the dream, I was married to the same man that I was married to in this life, and we had the same son. Of course, we were all three different people, but it was the same souls. And it was the time of the Holocaust, and I was living in Europe, and I knew they were coming, and I found a way. I found an escape route, and I my consciousness knew I have to go back and save my husband and my child. I can't just escape and run away. I have to go back and save them. So I went back and I said, "Hurry up! I know the way." And my husband, took too long, and we were captured. And my son and husband were taken and separated from me. So the men and women were separated, and I was put with the women, and we went somewhere, like on a train or something, to one of the concentration camps, and they too, but separately. And so I used to have, so we have my grandfather in this life, and then I think I was reincarnated into the same family, that I was in that lifetime. It's a long story. It's very that I was in that lifetime. It's a long story. It's very twisted because it's my life in this incarnation connected to it through my grandfather, my soul connected to it through one of my other lifetimes, but probably incarnated in the same family with my grandfather. So hopefully you're following along. But physically and emotionally, I've been clearing the Holocaust life. I think I'm done with it now, but for many years I had very bad upper respiratory infections, severe, and I was gassed in the Holocaust. So I was clearing those, that. But my mother in this lifetime supposedly was my killer in the Holocaust. And my mother has narcissistic personality disorder, and I stopped talking to her 11 years ago. Thank you very much. It's a very happy decision of mine, best decision of my life. So I'm very happy that I've gone no contact with her, but I'm healed from that. But the fact that she was my killer in that life, and she was born to her father, who was my grandfather, whose family died in that. It's all, see how it's all connected? Generations from past lives and coming back into the same family. So she was my killer in the Holocaust, yet she was born to this man who lost his family in the Holocaust. You see how we come back into each other's lives to teach us to have difficult relationships, to relive certain scenarios, to somehow come back into forgiveness, where I think, and work out karma and all. There are so many layers to this story that I'm sharing with you, and that I've been healing and clearing in this life. So that's just an interesting part of my life. Yes. Yes. I'm just reading everybody, and I'm saying yes to all of your comments. So I'm so glad you're commenting, and thank you. Um, and so, yeah, isn't that interesting that my mother is the one that killed me in that life. And then, and then when I had to relive a scenario in this life with my husband from this life and that life of, such, I don't even know if I want to get into that, but it's just played out on so many levels. And here I am speaking about it. Um, and here we are now in this time where we have the scenarios of the Holocaust, not that we have concentration camps and things, but we have some similar themes running in our societies that are not over yet, that are continuing, and we still need to break free from those themes and find sovereignty as humans away from control, power, and that which would want to undermine us. So be very careful with following your guidance now and not following the crowd or the mainstream media lies so that you can find the truth and be free. We are making a choice. Humanity is making a choice. Each individual person is making a choice to live free and clear from the control structures, or to be a sheep and fall in line. And so please be wise, open your mind, and listen to your soul. Am I in union with my second twin? No. Union, of course, always, but eternity, yes. But in physical union and this lifetime together, no. And that's good and fine, um, because it's not meant to be, and I don't want that um, connection. And neither does he. So we're on the same page. Um, there was always a very deep friendship there, though. Yes. Have I ever had twin flames who are in the public eye? I have had major, well, my clients, their twin is very are very there are very famous twins. So not that the famous one came to me, but the twin who's my client has a very famous twin, and many of them, many very very famous people. Yes, and they're real, legitimate, true twin flames, and they're not making it up. They didn't make it up. So, yes, it happens a lot. It's very difficult to be in that type of situation when your twin is very famous. It just adds another layer of difficulty to the situation. Thank you for sharing that, Roxana. I am so glad that it has helped you to choose your highest timeline. And yes, we can always keep doing it. Yes, Julie, it's so much harder to figure that out because how do you connect with that person? How do you reconcile it? And almost all of the twins I've worked with have been in some communication with the famous twin. Not all, but a lot have. And usually that is recognized on the other end. Um, the connection is known and felt, but it's very hard to bring these more into fruition. Um, and I'm not really sure, nobody knows why we are doing this, like connecting with our twin flame. And we can have so many ideas about the soul growth, the evolution, the healing, and the resolving all karma and all these things, but none of it's easy. Yeah. So you both have that knowing and connection. It's really sad in some ways because the people who are so famous in the public eye, the ones that I know who are twins of my clients, when I see them in the news and things, I just feel for my clients because they might have like a new girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife, and the twin, my clients have to just watch that, and that can happen sometimes. And Yeah, it's rough. I can't imagine. I'm so glad I don't have to see the public news about the dating escapades of my own twin. But um, would be I would be turning off the. I don't watch the news anyway, but you know how you can see things sometimes if you're on any social media, things can pop up. If your twin is famous, you're welcome. You're welcome. So it seems like the 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 questions are dwindling, but if anybody has questions right now, feel free to still type them in and I will see if there are any more coming in and answer them, and then if not, we'll wrap it up. You're so sweet, Roxana. You're so wonderful. Thank you for giving support to the other twins of famous people. You're so right. And there's a reason for you to have famous twins. And oh my gosh, I know so many of them. I'm just thinking about them, and it's not easy. Because also it's hard to talk about twin flames in general with people. But if your twin is somebody really famous, it's even harder because people might think you're just a fan, an obsessed fan, and that's not the case at all. And the people that I know who have famous twins are these people are so famous that everybody in the world, almost everybody in the world knows who these people are. Um, so I'm glad I don't have that kind of a life. We are all in this together. You guys are all so sweet. Thank you for joining with me today. And I hope that it's been enjoyable. I think it was just a conversation with everybody and not some in-depth teaching, but I think that's fine and good. So I will say good night, goodbye. It's not really night, even though it's dark outside, but it is nighttime for you in Europe. Thank you for hanging in there so late with me. And I will see all of you soon in a video. I will. I'm going to post more. I have a long list of videos that I'm going to make. See you soon, everybody. I love you all. Thanks for joining me. Bye.